my name's Sally Bradbury. I'm Group Resourcing Manager for Barratt Developments. And today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about how Barratt Developments has approached their connection of recruitment technology with the goal of improving process, improving user experience, source of candidates in a tough market that the construction industry operates in, and also looking at how we can drive long-term efficiencies around the recruitment area within our business. And later I also want to just talk to you a little bit more briefly around how the ATS has supported us through the pandemic, which is currently taking place in the UK. So a little bit more about me. I'm obviously, like I said before, I'm Sally Bradbury. I'm the Group Resourcing Manager for Barratt Developments. It's quite a unique role in terms of resourcing. I don't have a central resourcing team here in the business, and I have one direct report. Our sort of resourcing structure is dispersed across our business, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about how the structure works there. But in a sense, I look after the experienced hire strategy for the business. I look after all the recruitment for the early careers programs, and I look after the sort of social media and employer brand as well within the organisation. So physically, I don't actually recruit. I suppose I look after all the tools and the models around it, and our divisions kind of look after the hands-on recruitment. But I sort of enable them to be able to have the best tools and the best processes in place to enable us to attract the best candidates that are out there. So a little bit of history really. So recruitment became a central objective for the organisation. In the construction industry for a few years now, we have had a skills shortage in place. So our aim was to become much more proactive with our recruitment approach. We had an existing ATS in place, which was in place historically before me, and had been there for about 10 years. It didn't have great functionality, it wasn't rich in terms of delivering our talent strategy, and it was really difficult to navigate, it was time consuming, it didn't integrate naturally with any job boards, so that was taking place outside of the system, and reporting was clunky or probably second, hardly even there, and the end-to-end system really was really hard to manage, and because of that our divisions and our business weren't using the ATS, so it kind of, the recruitment strategy was just really dispersed across the group. Some divisions were really using it, some weren't. So we had to look at a project to enable us to bring that all back together, and enable us to report and have a bit more of a strategic approach and a proactive approach rather than being in a reactive market all the time and sort of not having any controls over our business. So we set about finding and integrating the right system. I will say it can be difficult. That period of time took us quite a while, but it is possible to find a system out there that will fit your organisation. What I will say for me is in the organisation, is your culture ready and open to the change of an ATS coming in place? Because it seems like a very small system, and depending on how your organisation is structured, if you're going to have hiring managers within your organisation using this tool, there needs to be that culture and receptiveness to be able to want to use that platform, that portal. So in just 16 weeks, we implemented our ATS, which was ePloy, who are our chosen provider, and it really has improved our processes, it's improved our user experience, and it is helping us in what is a tough market. We know kind of where we need to go to attract the right people. We know where people are coming from. We know their backgrounds and things like that. So it's enabled us to make long-term efficiencies and really drive our recruitment strategy now. Before, kind of our recruitment strategy was, I suppose, dispersed. And now we can really streamline in terms of what we want to look at in the short term and what we want to look at the long term. And our ATS is kind of driving some of those decisions around it. Like I said before, we're a really small team, a recruitment team of 3, which is quite unique for a FTSE 300 company. But we do sort of obviously support the wider divisions in terms of their approach when they look after their recruitment systems. I suppose as well, what we were looking at with ePloy was modernising our interface as well. We had a up-to-date careers website, which we did the year before that, and it was quite different look and feel once the candidate went through the journey. So we wanted to make sure that our ATS kind of flowed through, and also enabled us to use mobile technology as well, which our old ATS didn't allow us to do. And as we probably all know, in a recruitment market now, candidates need to be able to apply as quick as possible, wherever possible, and our ePloy system has enabled us to do that as well. A little bit of background about Barratt Developments then. So Barratt Developments is the largest house builder in the UK. It's got 27 divisions, which is dispersed from Aberdeen down to Exeter. And within that sits the 3 different brands. So Barratt Homes, David Wilson Homes and Barratt London. We employ just over 6,000 people now. And obviously I've said to you previously about, each of those divisions has its own recruitment kind of person who will look after recruitment, and that again differs across all of our different divisions. Sometimes the hiring managers will look after it, and sometimes they have an allocated person who looks after recruitment. So for me as a group resourcing manager, to not have an ATS in place was quite a scary time, I think, when you want to be able to report and you want to be able to have certain controls, particularly around agencies, for example, or job boards. The ATS has now enabled us to have that control and have that reporting structure, which I'll talk to you more about when we go through the kind of the journey around COVID. And obviously, I've talked to you about the construction shortage and skills shortage that we had, and although that was a key driver, there was also the need to improve our processes, improve our user experience, not only for our external candidates, but actually for our internal candidates when they applied for a role as well. And obviously looking at driving efficiencies there as well. And I suppose at this point, when we were looking at an ATS, I don't think as a team, we realised how important the ATS was going to be. Just having gone through COVID-19 and the need to be able to report up to execs level really, really quickly on various different kind of agendas and areas, really showed the importance of having an ATS. So if you are sat out there and you're thinking, oh, I haven't got an ATS, or my ATS is a little bit older, I would really push you to have a think about kind of what is it that you really want to get out of it. And hopefully we won't go through another pandemic, but actually it has enabled us to get resourcing further on the agenda with our executive board, because we've got stats and figures to enable us to present to them, which works really well for our organisation and its culture. So what was the strategy really to implement an ATS? Our strategy was obviously to become more proactive. It was to deliver a fully automated solution. So in our organisation, we have various workflows, what I call workflows when candidates apply. We've got different kind of roles that require different attraction and different online application processes, so to speak. So there was a real need to be able to enable for our ATS to provide us with that functionality. Our old ATS had 2 workflows to be able to work from, and they were only controlled by our service provider. So again, it was really important for us and our team to be able to have different workflows that integrated with different psychometric testings, but also that enabled us to be able to change it ourselves. And that was a key driver around our strategy and when we looked at service providers for recruitment technology. We wanted the system to be able to have a robust reporting structure. In the past, we haven't been able to report in kind of our successes or our weaknesses. So it was a real key decision for us to be able to have reports that were real time, and didn't enable us and didn't have to have much human interaction, shall I say. Obviously, I've said previously that I don't have a team of people, so for me to be able to have to sit and write reports just wasn't functionally going to work for us as an organisation. So for us, the reporting area of the ATS was something that we really drove and really looked at when we were looking at service providers for the ATS. Obviously, I've talked before about the multiple workflows for different roles, and we do have some complex early careers recruitment processes. We have video interviewing technology, which we needed integrating, situational judgment tests that need to be integrated, and the need for different hiring managers to drop in and out at various points within that recruitment process as well. We also have assessment centres in there, and then verbal and numerical testing as well. So it's quite a complex system that I was really keen to have all integrated and have very minimal touch points in terms of human processing up front, and that the system automatically worked through those workflows. And we also had a desire to have different application forms for different roles. So we have a need to ask certain questions for a quantity surveyor, for example, that we don't need to ask for a site manager. And again, there was a real requirement to be able to have two different application forms to enable us to do that. We have a huge strategy in our organisation around inclusive recruitment. So again, not having any reporting on this previously really didn't drive our attraction campaigns very well. So now we've had a full year of employee in the organisation. We really know kind of are we attracting the right people? Is it an attraction campaign that we need to do, or actually is it more in the organisation around, are we stripping candidates down at the right points? Are we rejecting the right candidates? Are we not? And the employee has enabled us to be able to really delve into that information rather than just lumping huge budgets into attraction campaigns all the time. Is it actually an attraction campaign that we need to do? Or are we attracting the right people, or is something going wrong in the recruitment process? Or actually, is the recruitment process right, or we need to put more money in attraction areas that we need to target? So having that robust reporting system has really drove some of the key drivers in our organisation as well. So how did we do it then? So we did have a team of people. We had to go out to the business and ask for wider stakeholders to support us in this project. So I led on the project with a project manager, and also my manager kind of supported us in terms of the implementation. We also had our HR business partners support us through the journey, and what we call HR coordinators who sit in the divisions. We had a couple of those who support on the project. So it wasn't a huge project team, and we also had kind of wider than the direct project management team. We also had our systems trainers who supported us in rolling out in the organisation. What I will say, and the difference that I found with ePloy compared to other sort of vendor suppliers, was that the ePloy team really came into our project team. So we had two project managers from ePloy who supported us through the journey. And I will say at points that I've really felt like they worked for Barratt developments. And I feel that was a key difference between ePloy and other providers out there. And we had to work to some challenging deadlines, like I say. So it was 16 weeks. It was a really intense 16 weeks, and we all had our day jobs to do. And, ePloy had a couple of projects that they were also working on. But I think it was astounding, really, that we did deliver this project in that period of time. And within that period of time, I suppose we worked through key workbooks to enable us to do. So we did some analysis around kind of is our business ready for like the change culture, and what do we need to do? And then we moved into kind of documenting and working through our workflows. What do they look like? Do we want them to stay the same? Do we want to make processes? Do we want to improve our processes as we go through? And within all of that, we had to sign obviously the SLAs. And look at our communication strategy across the group. So what I would say is how did we do it? We just really broke it down into 4 weekly cycles, and looked at the kind of the project and made sure that we were working to those key deadlines. We absolutely didn't let deadlines move or shift around. And we kind of had to stick to them to enable us to go in. We were dictated to really with 16 weeks around our service level agreement was finishing with our current provider at a certain period of time. So there was a real need not to go into another annual contract. So again, that's something to think about, is the timing of your implementation. At what point can you implement it, and at what point is it right for the business? And for us, that only gave us really a 16-week window, which I would say is quite tight website. Looking back, I would probably wanted it to be much longer than that. But that being said, we implemented a fantastic system, and the business has really taken to the system, and now employers kind of used on a daily basis and used in conversations across the whole of the group at various levels as well, which is phenomenal after a year when we were gone from a place where people weren't using the ATS that was in place, and historically it had a really bad name for itself around its uses. And we also had the need to integrate our careers website as well, which we did within that 16-week period. So now when you go through our system, there's no kind of difference between the careers website and going into the ATS. They look a blended approach across there. So just giving you a bit of insight really into one of our recruitment processes. So for our sales and armed forces workflow, a candidate would apply via the portal. So they go to the careers website, they'd have a look at the information about the role, and then they would go to the careers portal. They would then apply for the job within 4 minutes on mobile or on a laptop or PC, or a tablet, and then in a set period of time, they receive what we call a situational judgment test link, which is an SHL bespoke test. This takes them through kind of a simulation around asking them questions around what would it be like to, if you were working on site and this scenario happened, would you answer A, B or C? And then from that, our employee system and SHL system talk to each other on their and then they will kick out kind of what we've call the cut-off score for that. So at that point, it is all automatic. We don't see the candidate during that period of time. However, the candidate feels like they're going through a very personalised recruitment process based on kind of what we've put in there. They also have their own candidate portal to be able to go in and alter their CV, update any information that they need to during that period of time. So it's not just once they've applied, they can't change any of that information. They can absolutely do that, and they can also go in there and update their GDPR details, for example, and things like that. Our ATS is, we've got the core system, so we've got a couple of systems within the ATS. We've got a core system and then what we call the hiring manager portal. So our hiring managers look after the recruitment day to day. So they then log into that system and they're able to move and review those candidate details with much more streamlined information than what kind of we see as core system users. So there's kind of, the less of the administrative permissions are in that hiring manager portal, but actually as well, it just strips it back and makes it really clean for them to be able to see. They'll log in, they'll go to their vacancy, and then they can quickly see the candidates have applied, and they can quickly see where they are in the recruitment process as well. Once they've completed the SJT, obviously the hiring manager can then go in and have a look at their CV, their application process, their application form, and their situational judgment test results. And from that point, they can then move them into the video interviewing stage. So they'll literally move them into the video interview stage. The system automatically sends them an email. The candidate will complete the video interview, and then it's pulled straight back into the system for the hiring manager to be able to look at that video interview, which in these current times has been really critical for us as an organisation to enable us to do that. But the fact that it's not sitting in two different platforms takes away all the GDPR compliance kind of complexities of it being sat in two systems, and it makes it really clean for us, for a hiring manager to go in and see all the candidate details in one place, rather than having to log into two different systems. And then from there, obviously, we drop back into what I would call the standard recruitment processes around interviewing and offers. And we haven't got round to implementing the onboarding section yet. We're just currently going through that project, but with COVID, we've had to put that on pause, but hopefully we'll reignite that. But that will really end the recruitment cycle to enable them to start all of their onboarding processes online as well. So the contracts will be issued electronically. They'll have welcome videos from our CEO. They'll be able to update the right to work, bank details, etc., etc. So it's really going to take away a huge administrative task for our office team. So really, then, we implemented, we've just gone through our full first year when COVID hit us, and And I honestly don't think I've got through COVID-19 from a work perspective without this ATS in place. We went into a full recruitment freeze overnight, and the board expected us to be able to report on kind of how many active vacancies we had out there, what roles were going through staff requisition, what roles were out with agencies, how many temporary hires we had in the organisation. And without an ATS, I honestly don't know how I would have been able to do that in such a short space of time. So within around 24 hours, we were able to turn around kind of exactly what we had out there in the business, what offers we had outstanding, and kind of what offers we wanted to continue with, but the outstanding costs as well that we had as well. So, you know, at a click of a button, really, all those, they were available to us to be able to make really informed decisions around that pandemic. And still to this day, you know, we're still looking at kind of, you know, what really is going through that system. So our staff requisitions before were paper-based. So I would have had to go out to the organisation and kind of find out what was going on out there. But what it also enabled us to do is to talk to our candidates as well straight away. It enabled us to send out holding messages instantly. You know, we're going through a pandemic, we are reviewing your application, please bear with us during this period of time, and we could bespoke those messages, you know, to different kind of pools of populations of people. And the ATS also kind of gave us insight around when we were in a recruitment freeze and we had no active roles, how many candidates were still, you know, registering, how many candidates were still in, you know, looking to change roles during a pandemic. And again, it's given us some informed information to enable us to make decisions around, you know, do we need to go to market for certain roles, or do we have enough in our talent bank, you know, and how many people are really in the job market. You know, there's so much data day to day around kind of what people are looking for, what jobs, but really when it's relevant to your business, it becomes much more sound information. So for me, you know, that's been second to none. And I will say, you know, when you're choosing an ATS, just really think about your support that you're going to get. So again, the support that we had from Employ was, you know, over, you know, literally instant. You know, they were also going through the pandemic themselves, but you know, we had to put holding messages on the careers website. It was all a new world, and I felt like I was really supported day to day by that support desk and that service desk. So, you know, they were writing reports for us, they were writing widgets kind of on the dashboards for us as well, which I don't feel other providers would do. So again, really think about that support desk. So the key takeaways for me really are know your receptivity to change, like how ready is your business for the ATS to go in place. Choose your ATS carefully and think beyond the features of functionality. For me, you know, the support and the service is critical. You will need them during implementation, you know, no matter how big your team is to get this ATS in. But ongoing, you know, you never know, you know, how much. I probably underestimated the amount of support and service that I would need from our provider. And for me, build in time for testing, and then once you've built that in, just add more time in. Our testing took us much longer in the project plan than we thought it was going to, and we ended up having to kind of dual test in different areas, which became really complicated on our testing logs. But, you know, we did do it, but I would say there is, if you can, build in as much testing as you can, testing time as you can. Be prepared to uncover things that you don't know about. I think we all feel like we want to know that we know everything about our business areas, and people will work in different ways, even if you work, you know, even if you do have a centralised resourcing team, but be prepared to uncover things that we don't do it that way, or we've never done it that way, or no, that's not the way we do it. And then you're having to go into a review of, well, which way is the right way, and don't you know, managing change is a hard thing to do on there as well. And evaluate progress, look at your reporting, monitor your KPIs, what is it that you really want to get out of this implementation. And for me, the project will never end. So we're constantly evolving our ATS. Obviously, like I say, we're going through onboarding at the moment. But, you know, even during COVID, we were evolving the system, and you'll learn new things about the system as you go through. So although you've got a project team, don't ever think that the ATS is going to go away. And I suppose for me, it's now become a huge huge part of my role that wasn't there before. So, you know, that will constantly evolve over the time. So hopefully that's been a good insight into kind of Barratt developments and our ATS system. How many vendors did you see before deciding on ePloy? So we did some desk research before. So at that point, we probably had 12, Peter, desktops at that point, and then we streamlined it down to 5. And then we did a bit of a, like, what I call like a show and tell. So we asked them to come in and present kind of their platforms. And we did that to a wide group of stakeholders. And then from that point, we went down to 2 providers and then really started to get into the detail about our KPIs and what we really wanted to do. And then from there, obviously, ePloy was selected. That period of time took us a long time. So the shortlisting probably took us around 20 weeks, which obviously I haven't included in the 16-week project plan. But yeah, you can do a lot of it now over desktop, and then you'll you know, from your KPIs, you'll really know what you want to get, which will give you kind of your shortlisted provider. Well, thank you for listening today. Obviously, if anyone does have any questions after today, I'm quite happy to speak to you on a one-to-one basis. And if you want any more information on ePloy or our implementation, then, you know, do feel free to contact me. But thank you for listening.